What's going on, guys? Welcome back to AskGSM episode 484 here today for Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well, having a great week so far. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Drop a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And be sure to drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question on next week's edition. Let's get right into it here, starting with Micah Does It from YouTube. Their first question was, will you be buying WWE 2K23 and playing it here on the channel, maybe doing matches with your subscribers or doing the career mode? Yes, I will be. I'll actually possibly, hopefully, fingers crossed, be getting a review code actually for the game, I think later this week actually. So I think the game comes out next week, next Friday. I've been doing a lot of coverage of the game, like learning about what the new game is going to cover. I was at an event for 2K23 over Royal Rumble weekend, had a chance to play it, like do a playthrough. I should probably put that up before the game comes out. By that point, it'll be null and void. I haven't put out that video yet because I just haven't had time. But I'll put that out soon, hopefully in the next couple days. But anyway, I was actually asked the other day by someone at 2K about getting a review code for the game. And obviously I said yes, and I just had to submit an application, blah, blah, blah. So I'm hoping to hear back a little bit later on in the week. That's what they said. And I could have it by like the end of the week, if not next week. So I was already planning, even if I didn't get a free copy of the game, I was still going to buy it anyway. Especially after what I heard from the developers. I was on a Zoom call, not just me, but like other, content creators and journalists, whatever. They were talking to us about the game, the new features, the DLC. A lot of this has since been released, like the GM stuff went live yesterday. The DLC stuff went live on Monday. There's more stuff to come, I think today and tomorrow. A lot of cool new features. What really gets me excited, in addition to the DLC, is the GM mode. And you guys know that's really what I play the games for and what I've done here on the channel for the last 9 months. I've only done 25 episodes of 2K22 GM mode. I was inconsistent with it. I started late. I'm hoping to start as soon as I get the game. And since it's going to be like the hot thing on, the market, so to speak, when it first comes out, maybe I can try doing some of the other stuff and recording my gameplay of it and putting it here on the channel for you guys to enjoy and whatnot. As soon as possible. So I am hoping to get the game, and when I do get the game soon, I didn't have a chance to do this last year, especially since when last year came out, I was just so fucking incredibly busy ahead of WrestleMania. I mean, I will be this year too, but, I'm hoping to spend some more time playing the game, getting used to it, not waiting until May or June to start playing it in GM mode, and we can get into it right away. Because I heard GM mode this year, from what they've said, adding multi-man matches, new GMs to choose from, mid-card titles, different stipulation matches, all of which I was hoping for, and we're getting it. So it looks sexy, and I've enjoyed GM mode in this most recent game, but this next game looks even better. And I will try, hopefully, the career mode. I tried it in 2K22. Not that I gave up. I mean, I kind of gave up on it, but not because it was bad. I just haven't had time. So I'm looking forward to playing that, and it should be up here on the channel soon, so keep an eye out for that. My questions, by the way, are all over the place. I haven't organized them yet, so I won't put all the questions from one person back to back like I normally do. I just haven't had time to organize the questions yet. But anyway, Central Man Network from YouTube. Should Mandy Rose go to AEW? Could you see Mandy Rose returning to WWE? No, I think she's going back to WWE at some point. I'm not going to say like next month or like in the next 2 months. My prediction was that she would be back before the end of the year. And, I mean, she could do whatever the fuck she wants. I'm assuming, this has always been my guess, she was making so much money off of that fan time thing or whatever it was called, that page that she has, not OnlyFans, but whatever that similar page that she has is. I mean, why the fuck would she go back anytime soon? If she has the freedom to do that and make, at one point a few months ago, like $1 million off of it, I'd be surprised if she was still making that now. I think she will be back at some point. She'll either close it down or come to an agreement with WWE to not do certain stuff. Maybe she could still do it and go back to WWE, but not do it as... I mean, we already talked about this at the time. Some of the content she was doing was definitely not in line with what WWE wants out there with their PG product and whatnot. They have sponsorships, they have partnerships, deals, stuff, stuff like that. So I will maintain that I do think she'll go back to WWE first. If she pops up in AEW, that would be pretty cool. To me, she's always felt like a WWE persona. She was on such a great high during that Toxic Attraction run. She had the best year of her career as part of Toxic Attraction. To go to AEW doesn't ruin that by any means. I just don't really see where she fits in. I guess you could include her in the current homegrown girls versus, outsider storyline. I mean, would she be... I know she has history with Saraya as part of Absolution years ago. Mandy Rose and Ruby Soho don't really have much history. Mandy Rose and Toni Storm don't have much history at all. So Tony went to SmackDown when Mandy Rose went to NXT. So they never really interacted, actually, from what I can remember. But anyway, that is a possibility. I honestly feel like if it were to happen, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, whatever, in that storyline would make more sense, in that homegrown girls versus newcomer storyline, whatever. Not so much Mandy Rose. I feel like she will go back to WWE at some point. It just may not be anytime soon, but probably by the end of the year, if not before then. Billy, their question was, he said, can I ask you about Tessa Blanchard? Is she, through her own fault, the biggest wasted women's talent we've ever seen? So technically she is better than a lot of the women's wrestlers, but from what we hear, she is not a very nice person, to put it lightly, based off all the shit that we've seen and heard and whatnot. And she herself has ruined her own career. There must be something when neither AEW nor WWE have picked her up. She's still only 27, so maybe there's time, but it seems like nobody wants to touch her after the allegations. So that's the thing. She never... I'm not going to get too much into it. I don't remember if she actually flat out denied it, but she never really held herself accountable, even if the allegations weren't true. I mean, they could be true. They probably... a lot of fucking women came out about Tessa Blanchard. A lot of women backed up that story from 3 years ago about how true that story was. And then the thing is that she was still employed by Impact after that. They didn't can her. She actually won the women's champion, or the world fucking title. She won their world title later that same weekend in Impact. And she was there up until June. She was their world champion up until June. And the only reason she left had nothing to do with that. It was just due more so to the fact, I think she just didn't want to travel. She's very difficult to work with, apparently. I mean, if fucking Impact doesn't want to work with you, she quit and took the title with her. It was a very unprofessional exit. And, it might have fallen on Impact. From what I remember, it fell more on her. So why would you want someone like that in your promotion? I don't want to say as big of a name as she is, because, she was a big name on the indie scene, but she's not like this household name. As big of a name as she could have been, with the potential she had and as talented as she was, you don't want that baggage on your roster. And that's the big reason why there's a lot of people that aren't currently in either company. Del Rio's just fucking, who gives a shit about that guy at this point? But Marty Scurll's another guy that comes to mind. Velveteen Dream, same exact thing. Where I think Marty Scurll, that thing proved to be true. He admitted to it, but he was kind of like being... His excuse was like, well, it's like that. You can look into that whole thing yourself, but it was during the whole speaking out thing, and he was like, well, it's actually legal when you're 18 here, or 16 or whatever. The legal age of consent here is like 16 or whatever the fuck it was. It was like, I guess legally he wasn't wrong, but like his explanation and his handling of the situation was very fucking sketchy. That guy ruined his career, and that was an incident that happened a long time ago. But again, a lot of it also falls on how they respond to these allegations, true or not. And Tessa Blanchard, she literally capitalized off of it by like making t-shirts about it, how she has nuclear heat, instead of like owning up to it and apologizing to the parties involved. And maybe she did, but apparently it wasn't public and no one really believes her, because still a lot of people don't like her. Again, if even fucking WOW, women of wrestling, do not want to work with you, you know there's something wrong with you. So I'm not surprised that WWE hasn't touched her. I was a little surprised they didn't touch her, just because Vince traditionally has not cared about that sort of stuff and would bring people in anyway. But even during the fucking Vince McMahon regime, did they not look past the shit surrounding her and say, listen, let's bring her in. We think it'd be a good idea. They cut ties with Velveteen Dream. He didn't go to AEW. We talked about Tessa a lot, recently. I did a whole, not a whole video about it, but one of the questions on this, on hashtag a few weeks ago or months ago or whatever it was who was the biggest wasted star, Velveteen Dream or Tessa Blanchard? I forgot what I even said, actually, at the time. But Tessa Blanchard could have been a very big star. I probably said Dream. She could have been in one of the first women's main events at WrestleMania. She was already in Impact when the first one happened in 2019, but she could have been in another one with like Charlotte Flair or Bianca or whoever else. And again, I'm taking nothing away from her talent, but the shit surrounding her personally and the way she just really doesn't handle herself well at all, and she hasn't for a few years now, kind of killed her career. So like you said, she's only 27, maybe there's time. She would really have to go on a major rehabbing reputation tour and really own up to her actions and like apologize for it and make it up to people. There will always be people that won't like her for that, and that's completely understandable. But from my understanding, she hasn't even made that fucking attempt. Like I said, she's merely attempted to capitalize off of it with merchandise and playing into it. Oh, everyone hates me. Well, there's probably a fucking reason for it. So, yeah, she's done. She's done. She really peaked a couple of years ago. Unless she can turn that around, which, again, anything is possible. I just think it's very, very likely. And here's the thing, too. For as much talented women as there are out there, that are as good, if not better than her, already under contract to both companies and other companies, why would they waste their time on Tessa Blanchard when they already have the same talent as Tessa and they don't have that same baggage or attitude or whatever, and they're not difficult to work with? So ask yourself that question. Not yourself specifically, Billy, but to anyone wondering, is she really worth it? The answer is no. I don't think anything is really worth bringing in someone with that much baggage that no one wants to work with. I mean, you can also ask the same question about CM Punk. He has a lot of heat in AEW, but he also wasn't accused of the stuff that Tessa Blanchard was. That's some pretty toxic shit. Punk was just being an asshole and whatever. That's a whole other situation. The two situations, not that you are, I'm just saying it now, they're incomparable, but I bring it up because it comes down to the baggage. Is it really worth it? Tessa, at the end of the day, is not CM Punk, so it's not. To me, the answer is a resounding no. I would not bother bringing her in anywhere. My answer would have been different a few years ago, not in 2020, but probably in 2019 before any of this came out, because she was really talented and she was at the peak of her, star power or whatever, and then she flushed it all away like a moron. Nike only, do you think Montez Ford should be the one to dethrone Austin Theory for the United States Championship? That would be cool. The thing with Theory taking the title, with Ford taking the title from Theory, is that I wouldn't have Ford win the championship anytime soon. I mean, the guy's fantastic. He had a great showing in the Elimination Chamber. If you were to do that, you would have to keep the belt on Theory. I mean, I can't really put a timetable on it. I'm not going to say, Ford's going to be ready in 3 months. He's still in the Street Profits. I'm not saying he would have to turn on Angelo Dawkins. I've always said don't have either one of them turn on the other. Just have them start doing more single stuff, like what we saw with Montez Ford going into Elimination Chamber. They didn't split up. They both tried to be in qualifiers. Only one of them, emerged victorious, and one of them was in the Elimination Chamber, and it made sense, and he had a great showing. So that would be a great idea. If not him, Johnny Gargano is another name that comes to mind. Bronson Reed, I mentioned going into Chamber would be cool as United States champion, but, heel versus heel. I would say either Johnny, but Montez Ford, Johnny or Montez. Montez is a great option. I just wouldn't do that anytime soon. So if they were looking to take the championship, and fuck no to John Cena. John Cena should not be beating Theory for the United States Championship. And even the idea, Cena can win it from Theory, and then he can lose it. No, Theory, at that point, you need to give him his walking papers. If Cena beats Theory for the championship, even if the idea is to take that title off of Cena on Monday's Raw, the post-WrestleMania Raw, and give it to, I don't think it would be him again, but, someone else. That Theory at that point, after the promo he endured on Monday, which I talked a lot about on Twitter yesterday, would be his career is over. I mean, he's just done at that point. So, with that being said, I would probably have it be Johnny if it's on the sooner side. If not, and you're thinking long-term, Montez is a great option, though. Central Man Network, their next question. So far in the storyline rivalry between Saraya and Toni Storm, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, it's been kind of confusing. By the roles, which are the baby faces, which are the heels? I feel like Saraya and Toni are the heels, and Britt Baker and Jamie are the baby faces. I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, the thing is, I don't blame you for being confused, because they never really made that clear. I mean, Saraya and Toni spray painting people with the fucking NWO with DX spray paint colors is pretty stupid. The whole black and green. They're acting like DX, but they're also acting like NWO. It's pretty fucking stupid. They never really, I guess their turn was turning on, who was it? They attacked somebody. I don't think, was it Willow? Did Toni attack Willow? I think it might have been Willow Nightingale. They were attacking Willow. So they kind of had their turn. Britt and Jamie never really did. They're just kind of in the babyface role because they were already being cheered. That was never really made clear. The bottom line is the storyline sucks. I think it has potential. They could improve it. The Ruby Soho going heel was kind of expected. That doesn't really make me care about it more. It doesn't make me care about it less. It just kind of is what it is. It's a linear move, I feel like. I don't know. Just the heel turn for Saraya and Tony has been so fucking generic and not fleshed out. It has potential, but they really haven't had a lot of time to talk. Tony's just kind of there. She's wrestling, but she's not cutting promos. She's just kind of like the right-hand woman for Saraya. The rivalry has just been very bad. The match on Sunday at Revolution was very good, but the storyline, I'm glad they have storyline support finally in that women's division. Not that they never did, but it's really not prominent in the division more often than not. I'm glad they have a storyline going on right now. It's just not very interesting. The end game does sound cool, the women's blood and guts match, a women's war games match. They got to get a few more women involved, like probably Riho or, not that I love Riho being involved, but I mean, she is an original and she did beat Tony last week. Willow Nightingale would be another one. She's probably kind of earmarked for Ring of Honor, but she does have history with Ruby Soho as an ally. But anyway, they need to make it more clear and flesh out the storyline a little bit more to make people care and to make them a little bit less confused. Let's see. Next question from Micah Does It. Last two come from him on YouTube. The first one being, should Seth Rollins and Logan Paul open the show for WrestleMania 39, just like AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon did for WrestleMania 33, which was a great match, by the way. Yeah, that was my first WrestleMania. AJ and Shane probably had the best match on that show, to be perfectly honest with you. Thinking back on it now, there was some good stuff on that show. I liked Jericho and Owens. I liked Goldberg and Brock a lot. I liked the ladder match where the Hardy Boys came back and won the Raw Tag Team titles. Incredible moment. The women's matches were good, but I think that might have been the best match on that show. Even Rollins and Triple H I liked. Kind of boring at points, but I liked it. The opening match was probably the best part, and that was AJ and Shane. So Rollins and Paul opening the show. Yeah, I mean, you said on, I guess it would be one of the nights, not the night, because there's two nights now. It could open either night. I would be fine with it being a little bit later on in the card, because, it is an attraction. I don't know. I could see either show opening with an Intercontinental Championship match. I could totally see that. If Ripley and Charlotte doesn't main event, which it probably will, I could see them opening. But I would probably put that, and I wouldn't have the Royal Rumble winner open. I just feel like that's silly. Just have them go on, like, with Charlotte and Ronda near the end, but not at the end. I would still put the tag team title match on last, with Owens and Zayn versus the Usos, but that's just me. But anyway, so yeah, Paul in Rollins. We already got Roman and Paul at Crown Jewel. That would be a great opener. The match is going to be great regardless, but putting in the opener would not be a bad idea, a la, like you said, Styles and Shane from WrestleMania 33. His next question here is John Cena's WrestleMania 39 match against Austin Theory set to be his final match for the career of John Cena, with him officially taking off to Hollywood and leaving WWE behind like Batista and The Rock did so he can strictly focus on his acting career. No, I don't think so. Cena's been acting now for, 5 years? He hasn't come back a whole lot, but he's come back enough. I mean, he started his career in movies he really became a part-timer and showing up very rarely, starting in 2018. He had that last full-time run, going into WrestleMania 34, lost to Taker in 2 minutes, came back occasionally for the Greatest Royal Rumble and these shows and that shows and whatever, the overseas shows and whatnot. But beyond that, he was gone for most of 2018. He was gone for almost all of 2019. He barely was around in 2020. He was barely around in 2021. He had one match in 2022. So he's always come back. Unlike The Rock and unlike Batista. Batista literally firmly said, my career is done and I'm retiring at WrestleMania 35. He would have probably come back before that, but he was, he wanted to work with Triple H and they didn't want to have him, so it was kind of a weird situation. With Cena, they're always happy to have him back, and he's always happy to be back when he can. I feel like obviously, The Rock is a much bigger star in Hollywood, but Cena makes the effort to come back when he can. Specifically for a show like WrestleMania. I'm not saying he has complete control of his schedule outside of WWE, but if he really wanted to come back for a certain show to make something happen, he probably would. Again, it's a bit different with him and The Rock, as The Rock is in higher demand, but The Rock doesn't have to be doing fucking Jumanji 5 and Rampage 3 and all this other shit. He could totally save for a spring, say hey, I'm going to reserve these couple of months for WWE, and then I'll be back to doing the movie stuff. Maybe it's not that simple, but that's a different question for a different day. As far as Cena's 39 match being his last against Theory, I say all of that because the answer is no, it's not. He literally even said to Cody Rhodes on Monday's Raw, when they had that little moment on Raw, Cody must have said something about wanting to have a match with him, which doesn't surprise me at all. And you can verbally hear Cena say, because he speaks fucking louder than the music, as we know from his spot calling during his matches, he said, I don't know how many I have left in me, or something along those lines. So that wouldn't, to me, that indicates he has more than one match left. He won't be, he's not done after WrestleMania 39. He will be back. Theory, someone said retiring, someone told me this on Twitter, Theory retiring Cena would be fitting. If you really want to put over Theory as the next John Cena, which he's not, but he can follow in his footsteps the best he can. I love Theory, but come on. No one will ever have the same impact as John Cena. But, it would be a cool idea in theory, but that's not going to happen. Cena will be back. He should be back. His matches aren't what they were even 5-6 years ago, but he still brings value to the company. He's not fucking 60. He's just 40-something. And, there's still some other matches you can do and some other matches he probably wants to have. And it just makes the most sense. So, I'm totally fine with them continuing to wrestle more, and I far from think that this is his last match. I don't even know. I'm not even sure if he would say that. I think we got another Twitter question about that, too, as far as, is this his last match? He was acting like it is, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think it is. But, we'll see. I highly doubt this is his last match. I don't see the reason why it would be, because he can still go. He probably wants to still go, and WWE would love to have him, so I don't think he's done yet. We move on over to the Twitter questions at Iwagu91. His first one was, do you think that Wesley versus Dijak was the match of Vengeance Day? Would you say they made you feast your eyes? A month late on this, but yeah, it was. The show peaked with that match, and it was a very good show overall, especially by recent NXT standards. But that Dijak-Wesley match really gave me TakeOver vibes, and especially in front of that crowd in Charlotte or wherever they were. So, yeah, that was easily... I haven't seen Roadblock yet, but that was my NXT match of the year so far. I'm trying to think of another match that came close to that, and there's been some really good matches on TV, but that Lee Dijak match was tremendous. His second question, would you like to see Bryan Danielson return to Ring of Honor, the place that made him the wrestler he is today? I would. I think that'd be cool. He's just such a big star. We don't know how many years he has left. I wouldn't put him there for an extended run. Maybe on a one-off, kind of like what NXT does and what they were doing right now with Johnny Gargano. And they've done this with a lot of people lately, where they bring people in for a one-off in NXT, put them on one of their live specials, put over the younger guy or beat the younger guy or whatever. And that's that. Like, Cruz has been there for a full-on run, but I'm talking like the New Day. The New Day were there for a few months. They put over Gallus, and that was it. With Bryan Danielson, I don't think he needs to be there for 2 or 3 months. I mean, he doesn't need to even be there for more than a couple of weeks. He can come in for like a Super Card of Honor or a Final Battle. Maybe run it back with Samoa Joe one more time. You don't even have to do it in AEW. You could do it in a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. It feels like, oh, you got to do it in AEW. That's a wasted match. No, you could fucking do it in a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Do it in the main event. Promote around it. And have that be the... like FTR, they weren't going to be earmarked for Ring of Honor when Ring of Honor launched. They were always only going to do that temporarily as the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, and they did that. So... I would, build around a Danielson main event, maybe not his retirement match, but given his ties there, it would be disappointing if he does not get involved in Ring of Honor at all at any point before he calls it quits, at whatever point that might be. I would personally have him come back for one match on a big show, maybe not this Super Card of Honor, but, Death Before Dishonor or Final Battle or whatever, and build around maybe one more time him and Joe or him against, like, one of the newer guys. I mean, him and Jonathan Gresham would have been cool, but, Gresham's not working with Ring of Honor currently. He's an Impact, so that's not going to happen. But, someone like that, I think, him and like Wheeler Yuta. I know that's an AEW storyline, but he could really put over Wheeler Yuta in Ring of Honor. That would be pretty cool. So, anyway, just an idea. His next question, who will face MJF for the AEW World title next? I'm thinking Hangman Page. I mean, we had a lot of big babyface wins at the pay-per-view. Wardlow won the TNT title. He teased it at the press scrum, but he's not next in line. He shouldn't be right now as the TNT champion. But you had big wins for Adam Page, Ricky Starks, and Jack Perry. All of them I would love to see face MJF at some point. MJF has history with all 3 guys. Yeah, Ricky Starks, he beat at Winter is Coming. And Jack Perry, he beat at Double or Nothing actually 3 years ago. And they've had a couple of matches. MJF's won every single one. But they had a match at Double or Nothing. Back in 2020, it was great. It had no storyline support at all because I think MJF was going to do something else, and it fell through. So, they have history. You could run that back at Double or Nothing, but I feel like that might be too soon for Perry. And then the Hangman Page one makes the most sense, because he's talked openly in recent weeks even that he never really got his formal rematch. And he did in October, but he lost due to the concussion that he suffered legitimately, so he had to forfeit, which was a bummer. So he still needs that rematch. And MJF beat him for the champion, or not for the championship, but rather for the Diamond Ring back in late fucking 2019. He owns a win over Hangman Page. I would not have Hangman Page beat MJF for the championship, but as a big-time main event for that show, I feel like that would make the most sense. And obviously, you would have MJF win. It was the same pay-per-view where Page lost the championship a year ago to CM Punk, so a year later going back for it, to me, makes the most sense. We may not even find out tonight because we still have like another 2.5 months until the pay-per-view. They might do an interim challenger before now and then to do it like a beach break show or whatever, and that's fine. Ultimately, I would probably have it be... Darby Allin's another option, but he wasn't even at fucking Revolution, so I wouldn't have it be him either. I would save that for down the road. You could say Adam Cole. Adam Cole's another good option. I also would not do that there. I feel like it's too soon. I would build it up a little bit more. Cole's not having his first match until like fucking late March because of the premiere of AEW Unrestricted or whatever their new show is called, All Access. That gives you only 2 months to build up a match after the guy just had his first match back. I wouldn't do that personally. I wouldn't do that. But I would have it be Hangman Page. I feel like that makes the most sense. Next question comes from @RebornAgain, John Retland from the Twitter machine and on YouTube, Real Honesty with John Retland. Check out his content. He does great work. His first question was, so that finish to Raw might be one of the best they've done in a while. Do you agree or disagree? No, it was honestly pretty bad. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was fucking fantastic. It was one of the best finishes they've done in quite some time. It was great because it had so many layers of, you had the match itself, and then JT's is joining Sammy. It popped the camera noise when they hugged. It literally broke the volume on that camera that they were shooting it from. And then Jay turns on him anyway, which you had to expect based on how far he was standing from Sammy, but it didn't take away from it at all. Excellently, that's a word, executed angle from those two. And it was exactly what this storyline needed. And you didn't give away the Kevin Owens save either. You could save that for a different day. So, no, yeah, I think it was one of the best in a while. Really closed out the show on a high note. Got me excited for the inevitable tag team title match at WrestleMania, which is coming, folks. It's coming. It's not going to be saying Jay, I don't think. To me, it's got to be the tag team title match, but I understand other people feeling otherwise. I feel like it was an amazing ending, and it got me excited for whatever's next in this storyline, probably coming on SmackDown this week with Roman Reigns being back. His next question: do you consider Revolution a success or a failure? Also, do you think any of the positives from the show will carry over to the weekly TV, which has been at times uneven in my opinion? No, you're completely right. The show this year has been very uneven. Raw's been uneven too. Raw, the first couple of weeks of Raw of the new year sucked. And then it was kind of on a hot streak for a few weeks coming out of the Royal Rumble. I really enjoyed Raw 30, but those 3 Raws from Rumble to Elimination Chamber, to me, were all great. And then we had 2 bad Raws, 2 very boring Raws before this week. And then this week it was good. So Raw's been very uneven too. But Dynamite started strong. The first month was great. And then February was kind of off. And they have yet to recover. So I'm hoping they can have a hot show tonight, a newsworthy show coming out of the pay-per-view. I'm holding my fingers, crossing my fingers, holding my hopes up, or, getting hope that it will be a good show tonight. It's hard to say whether the show is a success or a failure until we're farther out from it. But in a nutshell, I do think it was a success of a show. I think these AEW pay-per-views, if nothing else, for the most part, really reinstill my belief in the product. And then it can be great when they have the right booking and they focus on the right people and the right stuff and they do the right things. Not that their booking is awful, but there's a lot of things I see in the weekly TV show now compared to a couple of years ago that I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. Why are we wasting time on this sort of thing? Tony Khan, he hasn't completely lost his way, but we're approaching that point. But the pay-per-views, he's consistently knocked out of the park. Some are stronger than others, but I really enjoyed Revolution. That main event was amazing. And the rest of the show is quite good as well. It was a very good show overall. So to me, it was a success because it left me satisfied about the show. It left me optimistic about the product. And they did pretty much every outcome I can't argue against. So I'm not really complaining about anything that we got. And I think going forward, I'm looking forward to seeing how they could follow up on it. Hopefully they could do so properly. His next question: What do you think of this season of WWE on A&E Biography so far? I haven't been able to catch a lot of it. I'm so behind on that content, which is funny because I've interviewed a lot of the people involved in the docs, in these documentaries here on the channel. I talked to X-Pac ahead of the NWO one a couple of weeks ago. I talked to DDP and Jake Roberts about a week and a half ago before the Jake Roberts one. And then coming up this week, actually, there's a Kane one, I think airing this weekend, actually. The Kane one, I talked to Kane yesterday, so the Kane interview is going up on Friday. Some spoiler breaking news for you guys, but my Kane interview will be dropping here on the channel on Friday. So he's getting his own doc this weekend, and there's a couple upcoming up as well. So I'm so behind on the biography stuff. They look terrific. I've heard they're great, and I still got to catch up all the way back in season 1. So because I started so late, that's why I haven't sat down to really watch them yet, because I got to start all the way back at the beginning, and that's just the OCD in me. Like, I want to watch them all. So I got to catch up, but I heard they are great though, and I would recommend them to anyone that is on the fence about them. If you don't have the time, then I get it. I just don't have the time to watch them yet. But if you do have the time and you want to check it out, from what I've heard, they are tremendous, and definitely make time to watch them when you get the chance. At noob_n_code TV, his question was, with the Queen and King of the Ring tournaments returning, do you think WWE will bring back the Mae Young Classic, and which female free agent will be in the tournament? He said Natalia Markova, Maria May, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Billy Starks. They would be great additions for the WWE Women's Division. I've answered this question before, not too long ago. I don't think they will bring back the Mae Young Classic, because if they haven't yet, why would they now? At least with King of the Ring, they've done it every other year for the last couple of years. They did it in 2019, 2021, 2023. And the King of the Ring thing was always meant to be a ratings draw. That's why they always did it in the past on TV. Now as a pay-per-view, they're making it a pay-per-view. The Mae Young Classic was never a pay-per-view. It was never done on TV. It was exclusively for the network. And that was a big reason why they did it, so they could sign a lot of women, which they did. They picked up a lot of great women. There are still a lot of great women out there to do a tournament like that, so I'm not going to say, oh, there's not enough free agents out there. There is. I mean, you could totally find the women for a tournament like that. But the fact of the matter is, they don't really care about original content anymore for Peacock/the network. They haven't for a long time. They don't even do the documentaries anymore, let alone shows like that. They have not done like an original in-ring program on Peacock or the network in years. They used to do the Cruiserweight Classic, Mae Young Classic, stuff like that. We got two Mae Young Classics. I don't know if they were going to bring it back in 2020. They may have before COVID happened, possibly. I think they were going to do Queen of the Ring that year, and then they nixed it before they brought it back. They did the Queen's Crown or whatever in 2021. I don't know if they were ever going to bring back the Mae Young Classic, though. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2018, 2019. It was 2017 and 2018. They didn't even do it in 2019. So if they didn't do it before COVID, they haven't done it since COVID. To me, that tells me they're not doing it again. They might do something similar where they use women outside of WWE and whatever. But the thing to me now, I feel like a big reason why they did it in 2017, not that they had a bad women's roster at that point, but they called up a lot of women, and the NXT women's division at that point was very bare. It was really just Asuka and not a lot of other people. So in doing that tournament, they signed a lot of new women, and they signed a lot of those women. A lot of them have done well. Rhea Ripley was a part of it. She was probably already signed anyway, though. Toni Storm was a part of it. Piper Niven was a part of it. I mean, the list goes on and on. They all went to different brands, NXT, NXT UK, Raw, SmackDown, a lot. Bianca Belair was in the fucking tournament. She did exceptionally well. Kairi Sane was another one. She won the whole thing. Shayna Baszler. They don't need the women, though. I mean, they have a lot of, for all my faults or all my, gripes about NXT and even its women's division, they have a lot of talented women. They really don't need another tournament to showcase talent that are outside of the company that they don't plan on signing. That was a big reason why they did those tournaments, to sign new women, showcase them before signing them. If they're not going to sign many, if any, of these women, then what's really the point? And again, I'm not even really sure where they would do it. Could you do it on Peacock? Sure. I don't think they care enough about Peacock and doing original in-ring programming there. Because the whole reason why they did that sort of stuff as well was to drive new subscribers to the network. They don't give a fuck about that anymore because they already have your money with Peacock. Peacock has millions of subscribers. WWE was struggling with numbers and whatnot. They don't have to deal with it anymore because they're under the Peacock umbrella. They're under the Peacock banner. So they don't need to worry about, we're trying to entice you to sign up for Peacock. No, they don't give a shit. So they're probably not going to do that again. Showcasing those women would be cool. Markova has potential. I know nothing about Mariah May, rather. Billy Starks is great from what I've seen. I don't think she's going to WWE, though. I'm not even sure if she's had, like, a tryout. Not a tryout. I mean, yeah, I don't know if she had a tryout. She definitely, I don't think it's been on TV. She's been in MLW, though, Ring of Honor, AEW on Dark. I feel like if anywhere, if she was going to sign anywhere, it would be over there, probably at some point. I know she's only 18, though, so it's probably going to be a little bit. His next question: what are your thoughts in the build-up for the women's title matches at WrestleMania? Excuse me. I find the SmackDown women's title build-up very awkward, and the Raw women's title build-up is somewhat getting there. The SmackDown women's title match with Ripley and Charlotte just sells itself because of their history. They haven't done more to really sell people on that match since it was announced a couple of months ago, back at the Rumble. I'm hoping it's going to heat up. I think the build for Bianca and Asuka is even worse, because all they've done so far is really just face off, and that's it. And no, I don't think it's a case of like, oh, Bianca and Asuka are both baby faces, so it's okay. And no, it's not a case of, oh, the match sells itself, so it's okay. And no, it's not a case of, well, Asuka doesn't really cut promos, so they really can't have any promo battles. All of those things are very, very invalid. You can't, it honestly reminds me a lot of the Styles and Nakamura match, which was even more disappointing. I mean, the match itself, but the build-up was disappointing because they had history they didn't really play on. Asuka and Bianca don't really have that same history, but you create more of an issue between the two. I'm not even really sure if Asuka's supposed to be a fucking babyface. I mean, I guess so, based on how she's been portrayed so far and the people she's faced. I would still at least attempt to make more of an attempt to sell people on the match. It's a lot like with Sasha and Bianca a couple of years ago as well. The match itself was great. I know people don't really remember the build, and that's completely fine. The whole point of the build, though, was to get you excited for the match. Yes, the match sells itself. I mean, Bianca and Sasha, that was more important to sell you on, because that ended up main eventing the fucking show at WrestleMania 37 Night 1. This one's not headlining anything, I don't think. It should be a great match, but I was very excited for it once Asuka became number one contender. I'm still excited for it, but they've done nothing but just stand there and posture and pose and point, and that's all it is. That's all the build has been so far. And Asuka doesn't need to be out there cutting rambling promos in Japanese, and that's not a her problem. That's a WWE problem. Vince, Triple H, for whatever reason, I mean, Triple H knows that she can, she's not going to cut the same promos that Bianca does. I understand that. But Asuka, that didn't stop her in NXT, and she was more of an attraction at that point. I get it, and she was undefeated and whatever. She didn't really need to speak. But she can cut promos. I mean, let's be fucking honest here. She's not solely capable of screaming in Japanese and kind of just going off the handle and rambling and whatever. She didn't do that before, so why do it now? And they've done that for fucking years now, and it's so infuriating because she's capable of so much more than that. So they can't have promos. You need to establish more of a issue between the two beyond, oh, we're just going to team up and we're going to be allies against Carmella and Chelsea Green. That's so lazy. It's fucking lazy. So again, have one of them establish more of an edge, make Asuka more of a threat to Bianca. I wouldn't turn either of them heel now, but there is more that can be done to make that build-up more interesting, because so far it's just, oh, Bianca versus Asuka. Okay, cool, the match should be good, but make me care about the storyline. Currently, there's no fucking storyline. They can be creative and come up with something. That's the whole point of the creative team. I mean, come on. Just having them stand there and look at each other is not enough. It works for week 1. It doesn't work for weeks 2 through 10. That's very lazy. Kyle Rochelle will end with his 2 questions here. First one being, didn't really have a question, but he said, it's not a question, but I know you think I hate Bianca. I don't. She's a good wrestler, but ever since WrestleMania last year, Bianca hasn't done anything to interest me more than Becky. Becky has been a face and heel and knows her character. Bianca needs to do something new. I know you don't like, I know that you don't, I know that you like Bianca, or I know that you don't hate Bianca. I'm well aware of that. But my thing is that, I mean, listen, it's completely subjective and you're not wrong. My thing is that I didn't really think she was stale when you were talking about that a couple of months ago. When you were saying, oh, she needs to do something new, I'm bored by her, that's fine. I mean, you're completely justified to feel that way. I didn't feel that way. I feel that way now, though. I agree more with you now than I did 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago. Now I'm getting to the point where her current character is getting more stale, especially, I just talked about it a second ago. The build-up to the Asuka match is so fucking lame. I think you could do a scenario where Asuka wins the title and then Bianca kind of snaps. I don't know if you want to turn her heel. She's still very over as a babyface. I mean, again, if she's so over, it's not like she's getting booed. then why ruin that by turning her heel? Just because you're bored by her, it doesn't really sound like you're the majority currently, so why turn her heel? At some point, that point will come, and hopefully we can get EST Bianca back. I don't know if I would do that anytime soon, but you could do a scenario where she either cheats to win at Mania, turns heel that way, which I wouldn't do that, or Asuka takes the title, and if she still feels stale, then have her snap due to losing the championship after a year. So that's an option. I'm getting to the point where she's feeling more stale. I'm still a big Bianca fan. She's still very over, so why jeopardize that? I guess we'll see what happens coming out of WrestleMania, though. His second question, though, for the last one of the episode, his first question, I guess the last one wasn't really a question. How do you feel about the build-up to WrestleMania so far with 3 weeks to go? I mentioned this a while ago. I mentioned this a couple questions ago with John's question. It's been inconsistent. I thought it started strong with the Rumble. It cooled off considerably coming out of the Rumble. Going into Elimination Chamber, I thought they had a lot of stuff being set up, and it had optimism. I was excited. Elimination Chamber was great. The follow-up on Raw the last 2 weeks was bad. The follow-up this week was great. So it's been all over the place. It was hot. It was cold. Back to being hot now. I mean, it was just one show on Monday. I'm not saying my thoughts have changed. It's not like one side of the spectrum or the other. SmackDown has been pretty good for the most part, and the Bloodline stuff is really carrying this road to WrestleMania. The card on paper has potential. Wyatt and Lashley, Lesnar and Omos are fucking terrible. Not the people themselves, maybe Omos, but the matches themselves are not good. Those matches sound like they'll be awful. But thankfully, that's the minority. The bad is far outweighed by the good. And I think the show will be very entertaining. So I'm excited for Mania. They do need a stronger build. I thought Monday's show was a big step in the right direction as far as setting stuff up, getting people excited, big developments. We need more of that. We need that same energy from Raw every week going into WrestleMania. This should be the most exciting time of the year for WWE's road to WrestleMania. It typically has been in the past. Give me big shows every week, not shows where it feels like they're phoning it in. There really isn't a strong effort. We need a strong effort, not only the week before Mania, but more than any other pay-per-view during the year. You need every fucking Raw to knock it out of the park. You don't need a big return every week. That's not what I'm saying, but just advertise stuff that people want to see, sell people on these matches, get us excited for WrestleMania, because it has potential and it can be a great card, but you need to really get people excited. The show will deliver regardless, I think. I think it will be a very good show, both night 1 and night 2. But the build and getting people buzzed around the product, WrestleMania people will watch anyway. But the last couple of roads to WrestleMania have been very weak. I want them to break that curse this year, break that streak, break that notion, and give us an exciting road to WrestleMania. Especially now that Triple H is in charge, he even faces more pressure because he really has to deliver a successful road to WrestleMania and a successful WrestleMania show itself. To send the message, we are in an indeed different creative regime right here or right now. I know there's rumors Vince might be coming back, and he is back in the company, back in creative, I mean. I know he's back in the company itself. We need to send the message that it's a different era and that there's a reason to be excited for the product. If you don't send that message, it will be right back to what it was before, and people will go back to not caring, and that's not a good message to send. So I hope they can keep up whatever they did on Monday. Keep that same energy for the next 4 weeks. And that's going to do it, guys, for today's edition of #AskGSM, episode 484. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out the show. I appreciate it. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/gram.gsm.matthews. Drop a comment on the post. I usually drop on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. Last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Have an awesome one, guys. Enjoy the rest of the road to WrestleMania, the AEW Revolution Fallout tonight on Dynamite. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.